Hi, this is Kendra from Pencil and Pigment, and today I want to talk about my Moldy watercolors. So I've done two previous videos. Last December, a year ago, I noticed that, well, I'd known for a while that the handmade watercolors I own from Greenleaf and Blueberry had started to grow mold and fungus. And then my Schmincke, my Hoodrum Aquarelle, the Ivory Black, this was the one I was using for eyes for a bunch of birds, and you can see I've hit pan, but it had started to grow mold and fungus, and I wanted to look and see a year later if the things I had done had made any difference and had actually worked. So this is the only magnifying glass I can find. We had an earthquake and we're still in the cleanup process, but looking at these, nothing has grown back. So what I had done originally is I have this little tiny spray bottle that's a mister. You can see it's about the length of my finger. And I filled it with rubbing alcohol. And I used the kind you buy at the drugstore for first aid kits. It is not the food grade rubbing alcohol, the isopropyl alcohol. This is just the one that you can get on the shelf in the first aid section. And I filled this spray bottle, and what I did was I sprayed each pan and let it dry, and I did that 3 days in a row. I had carved out with an X-Acto blade the molded section. Like some of them it was just on top, so I just sort of carved off the top, and some I had to dig down because I have hit pan on some of these. I cannot find all of them, and I'll explain why. But I carved out the chunk and then I sprayed them 3 days in a row. And then since then, for the past year, and this is why I can't find some, is they have been laying out. I have not put them away in the tin. All my paints that are in pans that I use sit out on my desk, and I have just a piece of sort of wax paper over them just to sort of keep them clean from pet hair. We have two cats that like to lay on my desk, and dust motes and things like that, just to sort of keep me from having to do too much work. But since then, I have used this Ivory Black a ton, and nothing has grown back. These I haven't used because I was waiting to see. These are a different formulation than the Schmincke, and some of them are very firm. Like you can hear that, right? And then this one's actually gummy. This one's kind of in between. This one is very, very soft and gummy and loose. And I haven't used these in years. The last I used them was May of 2019. So it's been a year. They're totally cleaned off now. They're totally fine. I think what I'm gonna do now for the handmade ones from Greenleaf and Blueberry, and I'm not trying to throw them under the bus. I'm just talking about these are the only handmade watercolors I have. I'm going to use these only in the summertime and only in sketchbooks because I need them to be able to thoroughly dry. Now I've been doing a no-buy, so I will buy a heating element at some point this summer as well to sort of speed up the drying time of these pans of the artwork to sort of help me out with time constraints. But as far as the Schmincke goes, I've been using this one all year and it's been fine. No mold has grown back. These have been sitting out. No mold has grown back. Because they've been sitting out and then we had a huge earthquake, a bunch of them fell. My cabinet that holds all my art supplies sort of broke. So all my art supplies now are on display like a museum on the floor. So finding things has been a trick and a half. But I just wanted to do a follow-up, a check-in, and let you know that if you live in a high humidity area and you're worried, if you start using your watercolors and you fall in love with this medium and you're worried that maybe the humidity is going to affect drying time within your pans and they might get moldy, don't store them in those airtight tins, and maybe leave them on a shelf that has no doors with just a piece of, you know, I'd be careful with tissue paper. I've been using wax paper just so it doesn't stick and wreck the top of the pigment. Or somewhere safe that you can put them and leave them out. And this is the best thing that I know of to do that's budget, that has all the items that I own within my house. Like, I already owned a little spray bottle for activating watercolors. I already owned isopropyl alcohol because of our first aid kit. This is all stuff I own. I have an X-Acto knife. It's not a big deal. The thing is moving forward. So moving forward, I probably won't be buying handmade watercolors anymore, just because these might have honey in them or something. So some of these never dry. They're always tacky and really soft. And so that's always going to be a worry to me, and especially like attracting dust and pet hair. When I think about watercoloring like 5 years down the road, as I use up these pans, I may start to switch more to tubes. I really love the ease and convenience of watercolor pans because I don't want to have to get tubes out and then I'm worried I'm going to squeeze too much out and waste it or leave it on a palette so it gets kind of... I have found that if I've left watercolor on a porcelain palette and reused it and reactivated it weeks later, months later, it's fine till about 6 months. And then when I go to activate it and use it, it starts clumping weird. So it's sat out too long from tubes. So I need to kind of find a medium here where maybe some stay in pans because they dry well, and some I just switch over to tubes because of the pigment and the mixture. They don't ever dry in the pan. So I hope this video helps. I hope this gives you some ideas for living in different acclimate climates. I know folks that have extreme heat and tons of sun, they can have their own set of issues, but we just have extreme moisture in the air. Like, it's just, it's just always lovely. So this is what my pans look like 1 year later. And I've been able to keep them clean. Excuse me, I apologize. I have not had to spray them since the initial spray. They've been totally fine. So that really makes me feel good about having them and using them in the future, as I now know how to store them and analyze them and make sure that there is no growth. And again, I don't know that this is helping, but isn't that funny? This belongs to my kids. It's a little scratched. I hope you have an absolutely wonderful day, and I will talk to you tomorrow. Bye.